Yo, what's going on, future full timers? It's your man's Marvell Martin, Marvelous Beats, markbeats.com, professional producer and violinist. And today we're going to talk about the three things as a professional full time musician that you absolutely must be prepared for, okay? So this video is for people who are, I say, intermediate musicians or creatives. You've been working on your craft for maybe 3, 4, 5 years. You've maybe played some friends and family kind of events, and people like what you do. And you're considering trying to pursue your creative endeavor full time. Who this video is not for, it's for really green beginners. So if you just took a few private lessons, if you just got your camera or your makeup or your art set or your instrument, probably not for you. Um, Conversely, if you're already a full time musician or creative, so if you already, replaced your minimum wage job or replaced your assistant manager job and you're already above six figures and you're just doing your thing, then this is not for you. You might be able to learn something from this, but it's not for you. So without further ado, we're gonna get right into it. So let me get to my notes real quick. All right, cool. So first one. So the first thing that you got to be prepared for as a professional full-time musician is instrument and equipment failures. Okay, so what I do personally, I'm a professional violinist. So every time I go to a gig, if I can, I will always have another violin um, in my car trunk, or maybe I'll just bring it with me if I'm Uber or Lyfting. Um, if you, it's obviously it's a lot easier to carry backups and stuff if you're transporting yourself. Um, Another thing to really try to have on deck is backup like cables and wires, um, and also tools like small tools like a screwdriver or a plier set or even super glue. I've been in a couple situations where I think off the top of my head, I remember one of my early situations was I had my violin on top of a speaker. It fell off the speaker, and the neck of the violin completely fell off. And I was lucky enough that it was early in the sound check, and the gig was not far enough from was close enough to my apartment, so I was able to drive back home and grab the super glue. But and actually fixed it. I just had to super glue the fingerboard of the violin back onto the neck, and I tuned it up, and I was good to go. Thank God. But that could have cut down a lot of stress if I just brought that small tube of super glue with me. Another situation I remember, I was doing a brunch at a high end restaurant. Luckily, again, this is why I've been telling y'all to try to get to events on time. Like, by on time, that means like a half hour, 45 minutes early. Once again, I had a situation, the jack where my electric violin, the quarter-inch jack, there's a ring that keeps the jack basically in place. I didn't realize this, but the ring came off and the jack was about to fall inside of an instrument, which would have been a disaster because if anybody has electric instruments, once that jack falls inside your instrument, it is like a wrap. So what I had to do was I used my fingers, like, let's just get the ring back on just enough so it wouldn't fall in. Went back home, grabbed my backup violin, grabbed my pliers. So now I always have that set of pliers in my bag. It's small enough where it doesn't take up a ton of space. And I just, whenever that ring starts to get loose, tighten it up. You know what I'm saying? So definitely gotta be prepared for that kind of stuff. A bigger tip is, once again, if you're able to do this, do it. Obviously this works best if you're transporting yourself in your own car. I always bring a PA speaker when I play, and it's a pretty small one. It's an awesome one. The Bose S1 Pro. You should definitely check it out if you're a musician. It's like amazing, small, rechargeable, lasts for a long time. Sounds great. And I have a backup speaker in my car. Same kind of, not the same exact brand. It's a little cheaper. But if I was ever in an emergency, that would definitely save my ass. You know what I'm saying? So I got a backup speaker, backup violin, extra cables, tools, super glue. Those five things are usually like good enough to cover any situation for me. Um, if you're gonna like travel somewhere far, you don't want to carry that much equipment with you. The best thing to do is to one, get there early, and to identify the nearest music store way before you even get to the gig. So if anything happens, all right, boom, it's a Sandmash, Guitar Center, Best Buy, whatever. you know, I can just go over there real quick and handle the situation. Okay. All right. So that's pretty much it for number one. Always having backup equipment and an instrument. Number two. All right. Always. So as a professional musician, the second thing I think that's really important that you gotta be prepared for is refunds. Okay. Now it's usually rare that it happens where you have an emergency, or you weren't prepared and your equipment fails. Or something like a double booking by accident. Personally, in the beginning, I had a few of those situations, obviously because you're new, you're figuring out how to move and stuff. But I haven't had a situation, um, barring the one that happened to me 2 weeks ago, which was crazy. I'll tell you about in like 3 years. I haven't had any double bookings. Haven't had to refund anybody. Nothing like that. Probably after the pandemic, which like whooped my ass. I'm pretty much whooped a lot of my people's ass. I had to change my contracts and everything like that, and scheduling was insane. So like I learned a lot from the pandemic, and how I move now with scheduling things, triple checking dates, that kind of thing. It really helped me not put myself in that situation. So to be prepared for refunds is you got to work on trying to have a savings, and then if possible, try to spend all of the money. You know what I'm saying, that you were paid for a gig. Like put something aside. I mean, you're supposed to put things aside anyway for taxes, but it's good to have some kind of savings or some kind of cushion just in case things happen. Real quick story. I didn't tell anybody this. What's today? Like, I'm recording this video second week of February, and this happened. This happened like the second week of January, 2023. I was on the way to a gig, and I fell asleep. I fell asleep while driving, and I got into a pretty bad accident. Obviously, I'm fine. I'm here. Fingers and everything working. I sprained my wrist and my elbow, but I still played the next day. But the gig that I was on the way to, obviously, I couldn't get there because I had to wait for the police to get there, file a report, make sure the other person was fine. Thank God they were. And my car had to get towed, and I had to, make sure, I got stuff out of the car that I needed and stuff. I would have went to the gig. I wanted to, but it just took too long to the towing and the police thing. So like, as soon as the accident happened, as soon as I went and checked on the people that were fine, I called the client and was like, "Hey, I just got an accident. I'll just keep you updated as this goes along." Then once I realized it wasn't going to happen, I called and was like, "Hey, look, I'm really sorry, but I'm not going to make it. So I will get you a refund in a timely manner." And that's exactly what I did. Maybe it was like 3 days later. I sent them 100% refund. You know what I mean? I even offered to, like, if they wanted to transfer that fee to another gig, and I would add extra time on it for free. So I, tried to salvage it, but they were more comfortable obviously getting a refund. But they were understanding at least because, yeah, the accident was very real. So yeah, I think it's very important for you to manage the funds that you have. Another tip I think is once you get to that point where you can get an LLC, or even just personally, get a credit card, okay? And use that credit card for emergencies like this. Because let's say like you really needed that money, but something happened and then you have to pay it back. Just as a cushion to get you over, you can use your credit card to pay for the very small necessities that you need until you get more gigs and make it back up. So that's just a small tip for y'all. It's even better when you have an LLC and get a business credit card. That way, when you do spend on the business credit card, it doesn't affect your personal credit. Because obviously, in personal credit, the more you keep a balance on your credit card, the more it affects your credit score. If you keep a balance on your business credit card, it doesn't really affect your personal score. Okay, so that's a cheat code right there for y'all. All right, number 3. Oh yeah, this is a big one. So the third thing that professional musicians must be prepared for is downtime. Okay. So I've been professional, full time violinist now for 6 years. Okay, and in the 6 years, I can clearly see when I look at my numbers in my Excel sheet what the downtimes are, and this is the downtime right now. Every single year, January, everybody's recovering from overspending in the holidays, doing their taxes. You know what I mean? It's the beginning of the year, so no one's really trying to do much. Okay, so usually it starts to pick back up after like February, like in springtime, starts to get warm, and weddings and proposals and birthdays start to happen again. So you wanna be prepared for the downtime. I mean, depending on what your creative thing is, your creative field is, your downtime might not be January. It might be something completely different. But it's good to be aware that there are downtimes. I don't care what industry you're in, there are downtimes. Okay, so give yourself grace, in the beginning, because you're not gonna figure it out right away. But just try to be smart, roll with the punches, and then once you learn the flow of the downtimes and the uptimes throughout the year, start to prepare for that, and that'll save you a lot of headaches, and it'll help you plan vacations. All right, so like real quick, let's review this. So the three things you must be prepared for as a full-time musician. Number one was instruments and equipment failures. Again, just make sure you got some extra stuff in the car that you bring with you. Anything to a reasonable amount. Okay, so things will happen. It's okay, but the more you're prepared, the more you can solve these issues when they come up, and hopefully retain your fee that you were paid to do that gig. Number two is refunds. Prepare for emergencies and things to happen where you have to pay people back their fee if you can't make it to the event, or if you're making it to the event extremely late. Number three is downtime. Okay, so prepare for the down seasons within your industry, within your creative field. Okay, and that's pretty much it for this video. Check the description link down below. I have some templates, like email templates, for responding to clients that really help y'all out. I use them all the time. Been tailoring them for 6 years. I also have a booking contract template in there as well, and a booking form contract in there for your website, which is a cheat code. Check out my video on that, by the way. And yeah, this is another full-time musician episode. Shout out to all the future full-timers out there, and I will see y'all next Wednesday. Peace.